questions 1 through 10 on the 2005 Grade 12 AMC 12B. A scout troop buys 1,000 candy bars at a price of 5 for $2. They sell all the candy bars at a price of 2 for $1. What was their profit in dollars? So they bought them for 5 for $2. And that basically means that each was bought at a cost of 2 over 5, which is $0.4 or 40 cents. And then they sell 2 for $1. And then that means that each is being sold for 1 over 2, which is $0.5 or 50 cents. So that means on each, they're making a profit of $0.1 or 10 cents. Now they have 1,000 in total, so the total profit will be 1,000 times 0.1, which is $100. And therefore, number 1, the answer is A. A positive number x has the property that x% of x is 4. What is x? So the mathematical equation would be x over 100, that's the percentage, times the original number, which is x, and that is equal to 4. So this becomes x squared over 100 is equal to 4, and therefore x squared is equal to 400, and therefore x is the root of 400, which is 20. So number 2, the answer is D. Brianna is using part of the money she earned on her weekend job to buy several equally priced CDs. She used 1/5 of her money to buy 1/3 of her CDs. What fraction of her money will she have left after she buys all the CDs? 1/3 of the CDs are being bought with 1/5 of the money. So here's the money and here's the CDs. So another 1/5 is being used to buy another 1/3, and then yet again another 1/3 of her money is used to buy the final 1/3. So the total, if you look at the CD column, would be 1, which basically represents 100% of all the CDs. Now to buy all those CDs, she had to spend 3 over 5, or 3/5 of her money. So what fraction of her money will she have left after she buys all the CDs? Well, 1 minus that guy. 1 minus 3 over 5, which is 2/5. That's the fraction of money she has left over. So number 3, the answer is C. At the beginning of the school year, Lisa's goal was to earn an A on at least 80% of her 50 quizzes for the year. She earned an A on 22 of the first 30 quizzes. If she is to achieve her goal on at most, how many of the remaining quizzes can she earn a grade lower than an A? So she wants 80% of these 50 quizzes to have an A. That means 40 of them have to be an A, right? 40 out of 50 is 80%. Now she's already done 30 quizzes, as the question states. And out of those 30, she scored an A on 22. So that means to reach her goal, 40 minus 22, which is 18. 18 out of the remaining 50 minus 30, 20 tests she has to get an A on. So she can score lower than an A on 20 minus 18, which is 2. And therefore, number 4, the answer is B. An 8-foot by 10-foot floor is tiled with square tiles of size 1 by 1. Each tile has a pattern consisting of 4 white quarter circles of radius a half foot centered at each corner of the tile. The remaining portion of the tile is shaded. How many square feet of the floor are shaded? This shape basically is a square, and then you've got these 4 quarter circles. So to get the area of that shaded region, AS, it's the square minus 4 times a quarter circle. Okay, so I hope you're in agreement with me on that. Well, what's the area of the square? Well, each of these sides is equal to 1 because they tell you that the square tiles are 1 by 1. So the area of the square is therefore is just 1 squared. And then 4 times a quarter circle, well, the area of a quarter circle is pi r squared divided by 4, right? A quarter of the circle. So this looks like just 1 minus pi r squared. Now what is the radius? The radius of that quarter circle is from there to there, which is essentially half of the side length. The side length was 1, so half of 1 is half. So it's 1 minus pi a half squared. And this becomes 1 minus pi over 4. So that's the area of the shaded region. But we want the total shaded area when you have an 8 by 10 foot floor. So an 8 by 10 foot floor is essentially 80 square feet. So each of these square feet have a shaded region that's equal to 1 minus pi over 4. So 80 square feet, you'd have to multiply 80 by this. So if you do that, 80 times 1 minus pi over 4, that gives you 80 minus 20 pi. And that's the answer, and therefore number 5 is A. In triangle ABC, we have AC equal to BC equal to 7, AB is equal to 2. Suppose that D is a point on line AB such that B lies between A and D, and CD is 8. What is BD? Let's first draw a diagram to try and understand this question a little bit better. And I apologize, but it won't be perfectly drawn to scale, but that's okay. I think you'll sort of get the hang of it. So this is the first part of my diagram. Here's A, here's B, and here is C. And they give us some values. They say AC is 7, BC is 7, and AB is 2. All right, so that's isosceles, obviously. And let's see, what else do they give us? Well, they have to create a D here because that is what you create on line AB. And let's join D to C because they gave me the length of that. They tell me that is equal to 8. And what do they want me to find? BD. Okay, so they want me to find that. All right, let's see how we can approach this. And like I said before, I'm sorry if this is not drawn to scale. The first thing I'm going to do is drop a perpendicular like that. And when you drop a perpendicular, and this doesn't look exactly like a perpendicular, but that is basically going to be the perpendicular from C to the base AB. Now if you do that in an isosceles triangle, it cuts the base in half. So that means that if that AB was 2, from here to here is 1, and from here to here is 1. And this point, should I call it something? Don't really need to, but might as well, right? A, B, C, D, call it E. All right, so now by doing that, we have created 2 Pythagorean relationships. Okay, the first one is right here, this triangle. It would be, I guess, BCE. In BCE, we have EC squared plus EB squared is equal to BC squared, like that. EC squared, therefore, is going to be EB is 1 squared and BC is 7 squared. So that means EC squared is 49 minus 1, which is 48. And I think that's pretty much good enough. EC is, of course, root 48, therefore. And then now our second Pythagorean relationship is this big one right here, this big triangle, ECD. And that one, that will help us figure out the value for BD. So we've got, in that big one, ED, or EB plus BD, plus EC squared is equal to CD squared. CD is 8, EC we just figured out, That's 48 right there, EC squared. And then EB is 1, and then we have BD. And that's what we have to figure out. So 64 minus 48 is 16, is equal to 1 plus BD squared. If you take the square root, we get 1 plus BD is equal to 4, and therefore BD is equal to 3. So number 6, the answer is A. What is the area enclosed by the graph of the absolute value of 3x plus the absolute value of 4y is equal to 12? So that is the heart of our question. And of course, we have to split that up into different scenarios. The first scenario is when both an x and y are greater than or equal to 0. And that becomes just 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. Okay? The next scenario is when x is greater than or equal to 0, but y is less than 0. In that case, we have 3x minus 4y is equal to 12. The next scenario is when x is less than 0, but y is positive or 0. In that one, we have minus 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. And the final scenario is when they're both negative, y and x, and that will give you minus 3x minus 4y is equal to 12. And we can very quickly draw this on a graph. If you do that, you can get pretty quickly the x and y coordinates. And that would be, let's see here, 3 minus 3, 4, and minus 4 like that. And let's connect those to get the shape here. So the shape is like this, right? Now, some of you, if you're in grade 12, you pretty much know that if this is 3 and this is 4, this is 5, right? 3, 4, 5 triangles, and you can verify that with Pythagoras. So therefore, this is 5, and this is 5, and this is 5. But please don't make this mistake of saying, oh, this is a square, therefore the area is 5 times 5, 25. Let me choose 25 and move on. The reason it's not a square, I drew it in a way that was obvious that it's not a square. It's a rhombus. Okay? And the way I immediately know that it's not a square is because these diagonals are different lengths. In a square, the diagonals would be the same lengths. This diagonal is 6, of course, and that diagonal is 8. So it's not a square, it's a rhombus. So how do you figure out the area? Well, you just figure out the area of a triangle and then multiply it by 4, correct? So that triangle is just 1/2 base times height, which is 3 times 4, and then you have to multiply that by 4 since there's 4 triangles that are exactly the same. So the area is going to be, let's see what we got here, 2 times 12, so 24. Okay, so the answer in number 7 would be D. For how many values of a is it true that the line y equals x plus a passes through the vertex of the parabola y is equal to x squared plus a squared? All right. So we have a situation, we have two equations, and they obviously have some sort of an intersection. So I guess I just have to substitute one into the other. So we've got x squared plus a squared, and the other one is y is equal to x plus a. All right. Now, if you have this parabola, just draw a very rough sketch. I don't know what this parabola looks like, but the general theme of a parabola, since the coefficient of x squared is 1, is that it's going to point upwards. So it's going to be something like this, right? I mean, I don't know exactly because we have no idea what a is at this point in the question. Now the vertex will be the bottom right here, and that vertex I will label as HK. Now, if you have the equation of any parabola, it can be put into the form y is equal to ax minus h squared plus k. And if you do that, hk represents the vertex. And that hk I have drawn here. Now, this equation is not in that format quite yet. But let's see if we can put it in that format. Well, y is equal to x squared plus a squared. Not much really I can do. X minus 0 squared plus a squared, that's really all I can do. I can put a 1 out here. And pretty much that's as far as I can go. I really didn't do much. But what I did was try to get it in as close to this form as possible. And from that, I hope you can see that our hk, our vertex, is 0a squared. Okay? So it's just a little bit of very basic manipulation. Now there's some line, this one right here, that passes through that point. So somehow there's some line, I have no idea what x plus a looks like, but let's say it's something like this. It passes through that vertex, okay? So that means that if you were to take the equation of that line, y is equal to x plus a, this vertex, that point, will satisfy that equation. So 0a will satisfy y equals x plus a. So let's put that in. Our y value is a squared, our x value is 0, and then we have plus a. So now we have to solve for a. So a squared minus a is 0. Factor out an a, and we get a minus 1. And therefore, a is equal to 0 or 1. And what is the question asking? For how many values of a is it true? All right, well, how many do we find? We found 2 values. We found 0 and we found 1. So 2 values, so therefore the answer for number 8 is C. On a certain math exam, 10% got 70 points, 25 got 80, 20% got 85, 15 got 90, and the rest got 95. What is the difference between the mean and the median score on this exam? So it's perfectly fine to set a certain number of students. So I'll let the number of students be 100. And then therefore, each of these can be figured out in terms of a number. So we got 10 students that get 70 points. We got 25 that get 80, 20 that get 85, 15 that get 90, and the rest got 95. Now the rest would be how many here? I believe 100 minus 70, so 30 got 95. Now, first and foremost, we got to figure out the mean and the median. And then we can figure out the difference, which would be just subtracting them. Let's do the median first. The median is the middle value, so that would mean out of 100 students, it would be the 49 and the 50th. Those two students, their average. So this is 10, another 25 would be 35, another 20 would be 55. So it's one of these guys. And all of those get 85, so that means the median has to be 85. Somewhere in there, the 49th and 50th student have a score of 85 each. Now to calculate the mean, that's just the average. So you're going to go 10 times 70 plus 25 times 80 plus 20 times 85 plus 15 times 90. Oops. And plus 30 times 95. And this is all over how many students we had, and that's 100. So this looks like 700 plus 2,000 plus 1700 plus 1350 plus 2850, all over 100. And that is 86. So the mean is 86, the median is 85. The difference, therefore, if you subtract them, is 1. And that's what they're looking for. So the answer to number 9 is B. The first term of a sequence is 2005. Each succeeding term is the sum of the cubes of the digits of the previous term. What is the 2005th term of the sequence? So we have the first term is 2005. They give you that. Second term is the sum of the cubes of the digits. So that would be 2 to the power of 3 for this term, plus 0 to the power of 3, plus 0 to the power of 3, plus 5 to the power of 3. So that's 8 plus 125, so that's 133. And then you do the exact same thing with 133. You got 1 to the power of 3, plus 3 to the power of 3, plus 3 to the power of 3. So that's 1 plus 27 plus 27, and that's 55. Fourth term, exact same scenario. Take this term and get the sum of the cubes of the digits. So 5 to the power of 3 plus 5 to the power of 3, which is 125 plus 125, which is 250. And then the fifth one would be the same thing. So on 250 would be 2 to the power of 3 plus 5 to the power of 3 is 8 plus 125, which is 133. Oh, we're back to 133 again, just like that one. Sixth term will be 1 to the power of 3 plus 3 to the power of 3 plus 3 to the power of 3, and that's 55, exactly like here. So this looks like it's a repeating pattern here. So 5 to the power of 3, yeah. All right, that's good. That makes it easy for us. So now we have to extrapolate this all the way until 2005. Okay, let's see what we can do. We have to figure out which one is it. Is it going to be 133? Is it going to be 55? Or is it going to be 250? Because that just keeps repeating. 133, 55, 250, and so on. Well, how do we do that? Well, no problem, because we just have to figure out where does 2005 lie in this pattern. The first thing I notice is that if a number is divisible by 3, in terms of the term number, right? This is the third term. This is the sixth term. If that term number is divisible by 3, the value of that term is 55. Okay? So let's see if 2005 is divisible by 3. If it is, we're done with the question. And unfortunately, it's not. All right, no problem. So 55 is out. It's not going to be that. All right, well, what about if I add 1 to the term number? It would be 4 or 7, right? So if the term number subtract 1 is divisible by 3, it would be 250, correct? Term number, in this case, is 4. Subtract 1, you get 3. 3 is divisible by 3. Let's see, is 2005 subtract 1. Let's see if that's divisible by 3. And it is. 2005 subtract 1 divided by 3 is 668. So that means it's in this category right here. You take the term number, subtract 1, find out if it's divisible by 3. It is. So this means that the 2005th term, the value of that term is 250. So number 10, the answer is E.